Virgo, you feel it in your teeth, don't you? That particular vibration, like a tuning fork struck against the bone of your own skull, the one that happens when someone who wronged you is standing in a room full of people and the floor beneath their feet has already begun to crack, but they are pretending they can't hear it. You have been feeling it for days, maybe weeks, this low frequency hum that has nothing to do with the weather and everything to do with the fact that a debt is being called in, not by you. You didn't have to lift a finger. You didn't have to send the email, make the call, leak the document, or whisper the name in the right ear at the right party. The universe has its own accounting department, Virgo, and the clerk just pushed their file to the top of the stack. They are afraid right now, not the kind of fear that makes them jump at shadows, the kind of fear that wakes them up at 3 in the morning with their heart hammering against their ribs like a prisoner trying to escape a cell that is actually their own body, the kind of fear that makes food taste like ash, that turns every friendly greeting into an interrogation they are not prepared to face, that has them checking their rearview mirror with the compulsive frequency of someone who knows on a level deeper than language that the past is no longer staying where they buried it. They thought they were so careful. That is the part that would make you laugh if you were still capable of finding any of this funny. They dotted every I, crossed every T, deleted the messages, cleared the history, told the lies with such consistency that they almost started believing them themselves. They built a fortress of fabrication and called it safety. They looked you in the eye more than once and performed innocence with the skill of a method actor who has forgotten where the stage ends and the prison begins. And you watched. You said nothing. You did nothing. You let them believe that your silence was ignorance, that your composure was cluelessness, that your decision to walk away without a screaming match meant you hadn't noticed the knife. But Virgo notices everything. Virgo files everything. Virgo does not forget the texture of a betrayal just because the calendar has flipped forward. You have been carrying the truth like a stone in your pocket, smooth and cold and heavy, running your thumb over it in quiet moments, waiting for the exact right temperature in the universe for that stone to be thrown. And now the air is hot. Now the wind is changing direction. Now the stone is leaving your hand, and they can hear the whistle of its approach even though they cannot see its arc. The truth is a living thing. It breathes in dark places. It feeds on silence and grows fat on the lies told to contain it. They have been feeding it for months, maybe years, shoveling deception into its mouth like coal into a furnace, thinking they could keep the pressure manageable, thinking they could control the burn. But truth does not negotiate. Truth does not get tired. Truth waits with the patience of a predator that knows the prey will eventually have to drink from the river, and they are so thirsty now. Thirsty for relief, for validation, for someone to tell them that what they did wasn't that bad, that everyone does it, that you probably deserved it anyway, but the river is dry. The witnesses are lining up. The documents they thought they shredded have been reassembled by hands they never considered, by people who owe them nothing and owe you more than they can ever repay. The digital trail they believed they erased has been living on servers in countries they cannot pronounce, cached and time-stamped and waiting for the subpoena that is already being drafted in a language they do not speak, but will soon understand perfectly. You can see it on them if you know where to look. The way their smile has become a rictus, too wide and too fast, the kind of smile that arrives before the joke and leaves after the room has already gone quiet. The way they have been over-explaining lately, offering details no one asked for, volunteering alibis for evenings that no one has questioned yet. the way their hands shake when they hold a coffee cup, the way they have been drinking more than usual, the way they startle at sudden, sounds like a dog that has been beaten and expects the belt. Their body is betraying them because the body always knows before the mind admits it. Their adrenal glands are firing constantly, flooding their system with cortisol and dread, aging them in real time, carving lines into their face that no serum can smooth, because the wrinkles are being etched by conscience, not time. They look in the mirror and see a stranger staring back, someone who made choices that cannot be undone, someone who traded integrity for convenience and is now realizing that the interest rate on that loan is far higher than they anticipated. Their eyes have changed. That is the first thing people are noticing, even if they cannot name what is different. The light behind them has gone out, not because of sadness, but because the pilot light of the soul cannot burn on fumes forever. And they have been running on empty for so long that the darkness is starting to show through the skin. Even the space around them is curdling. The plants in their home are dying for no reason, leaves turning yellow despite perfect watering, as if the very soil has rejected the frequency of their breath. Objects fall from shelves when they walk past. The cat that used to sleep on their lap now hides under the bed, sensing the static of deceit that humans have learned to ignore. Their car makes sounds that the mechanic cannot diagnose. Their favorite jacket tore on a day that held no sharp edges. These are not accidents. This is the environment withdrawing its consent to support a life built on falsehood. The universe speaks through entropy when words have failed, and right now every molecule in their vicinity is voting with its feet, creating a perimeter of minor chaos that mirrors the major unraveling happening inside their chest. And the karma? Oh, the karma is not some abstract concept floating in the ether like incense smoke. Karma is physics. Karma is the inevitable result of action meeting reaction with the precision of a mathematical proof. They pushed the pendulum hard to the left, spent years building momentum, and now they are standing directly in its path as it swings back towards center with the force of every lie, every manipulation, every moment they chose themselves at your expense. They can feel it coming, not as a vague anxiety, but as a physical certainty, like the pressure drop before a hurricane makes landfall. Their dreams are invaded by courtroom scenes, by locked doors, by the sound of their own voice saying things they swore no one recorded. They wake up sweating, convinced they heard a knock at the door, checking their windows, wondering if the car parked across the street has been there too long. Paranoia is the first symptom of a guilty conscience, realizing that the walls have ears and the ears belong to people who are no longer willing to be silent. They are afraid that everyone will finally know. That is the specific terror that is eating them alive from the inside out. Not just that you know. They made peace with your knowing a long time ago, or at least they thought they did, because they told themselves you were too dignified to expose them, too private to air the dirty laundry, too, Virgo, to descend to their level of public spectacle. They counted on your discretion like a thief counts on the dark, but what they failed to calculate was that truth does not need your permission to speak. Truth has its own voice, its own platform, its own timing, and the timing is now. The truth is walking into rooms where they have built their reputation stone by stone, and it is kicking over the stones one by one with a casual boot. The truth is being whispered in the corners of offices where they thought they were untouchable. The truth is, arriving in inboxes they cannot control, being discussed in group chats they are not invited to, being verified by third parties who have no stake in their survival and every stake in seeing justice done. The witnesses are not who they expected. They prepared defenses against you, against the obvious enemies, against the people they openly wronged, but they forgot about the quiet ones. The intern who heard a phone call through a thin wall. The bartender who watched them slip something into a conversation like a toxin into a drink. The friend of a friend who screenshotted a message out of instinct, not malice, and has held it for 2 years, like a seed waiting for rain. The rain is here. The ground is soft. The seeds are sprouting in every direction at once. A garden of evidence blooming overnight in a yard they thought was paved over with concrete denials. They are surrounded by people who are suddenly remembering things, who are finding old notebooks, old emails, old photos with timestamps that contradict the stories they have been telling. The witnesses are not organizing. They do not need to. Each one is acting alone, moved by their own conscience, their own timeline, their own moment of realizing that silence is no longer a neutral choice, but a complicity they are no longer willing to carry. And one by one, they are stepping forward, not with pitchforks, but with receipts, with records, with the quiet certainty of people who have nothing to gain except the restoration of their own integrity. You do not have to do anything. I need you to hear that with the part of your brain that still wants to intervene, still wants to warn them, still wants to believe that if you just explained clearly enough, they would understand and repent. They will not. They cannot. Their capacity for understanding is limited by their capacity for self-preservation. And right now, self-preservation has them cornered like a rat that has chewed through every exit except the one that leads into the light. And the light is not mercy. The light is exposure. The light is the flash of a camera they didn't see, the screenshot they didn't know was taken, the witness they forgot was in the room. The light is coming for them with the inevitability of sunrise, and they have spent so long in the dark that they have forgotten how to stand in it without burning. Watch them, not with malice, because malice is a burden you do not need to carry, but with the detached observation of a scientist who has already published the paper and is now simply waiting for the peer review to confirm what the data has been screaming all along. Watch the way they overcompensate with generosity now, offering favors they never offered before, complimenting people they once mocked, trying to rewrite the narrative in real time with the desperate energy of someone erasing a blackboard while the teacher is still reading from it. Watch the way they avoid eye contact with certain people, the way their voice goes up half an octave when a particular name is mentioned, the way they have been scrubbing their social media with the frantic intensity of a criminal trying to dispose of evidence before the detectives arrive. They are not scrubbing fast enough. The internet never forgets, but more importantly, the people never forget. The ones they thought were loyal were only silent. The ones they thought were fooled were only biding their time. The ones they thought were powerless have been collecting their own evidence, building their own cases, waiting for the exact moment when the dominoes would fall in a direction that cannot be reversed. And here is the part that will make you breathe differently for the rest of your life. You are not the plaintiff in this case. You are not the prosecutor. You are not even the witness on the stand. You are the verdict. You are the sentence being read aloud in a room that has gone so quiet you can hear the dust settling. Your silence has been the gavel. Your absence has been the evidence. Your decision to rise above the fray, to stop engaging, to stop explaining, to stop fighting for a place in a story that was never true, that has been the most damning testimony of all. Because if you, the most thorough, the most precise, the most willing to give the benefit of the doubt. If you have walked away and stayed away, then the jury knows without being told that the crime was real. Your peace is the proof. Your happiness is the exhibit A. Your lack of interest in their downfall is the most elegant revenge ever constructed, because it proves that they never mattered enough to destroy, and their destruction is happening anyway, organically, as naturally as rock claiming a tree that looked healthy until the first strong wind. The wind is here. It has a name. It is called consequence. It is blowing through the corridors of their life, lifting the rugs they swept things under, rattling the skeletons in closets they thought were locked, carrying the sound of their own words back to their ears with a clarity that makes them nauseous. They are hearing themselves now, the cruel comment they made at the holiday party, the confidential information they traded for social currency, the promise they broke with such casualness that they didn't even remember making it until someone reminded them with a screenshot. They are hearing it all, and the sound is not the echo of your accusation because you never accused them. The sound is the echo of their own character, bouncing off the walls of a reputation that is collapsing under the weight of its own architecture. They built a house of cards on a foundation of quicksand and called it a fortress, and now the tide is coming in, exactly as the moon predicted, exactly as the laws of nature require, exactly as karma promised it would. They will try to reach out to you. This is inevitable. When the pressure becomes unbearable, when the walls close in, when the people they counted on start distancing themselves with the polite excuses that everyone recognizes as abandonment, they will remember you. They will remember your loyalty, your patience, your willingness to see the best in them long after the best had evaporated. They will draft a message at 2 a.m, their thumbs hovering over the send button, trying to find the combination of words that will unlock your forgiveness and your protection. They will want you to vouch for them, to soften the blow, to tell the world that they are not as bad as the evidence suggests. They will want you to be their shield one more time, to absorb the impact of their choices with the body you have already spent years bruising on their behalf. Do not answer. Do not open the door. Do not offer the comfort that they would not have offered you if the positions were reversed. Let the message sit unread. Let the call go to voicemail. Let the silence be the only response they receive, because silence is the only language they never learned to speak, and now it is the only one being spoken to them. The karma is not punishment. I want you to understand this, because if you confuse justice with cruelty, you will carry a weight that does not belong to you. Karma is correction. It is the universe's immune system recognizing a virus and deploying antibodies. It is not personal, even though it feels personal to them. It is simply the natural result of planting thorns and expecting roses. They are not being destroyed by an enemy. They are being destroyed by their own harvest. The seeds they sowed in darkness are growing in daylight now, and the fruit is bitter, and the tree is ugly, and the branches are reaching into every window of the house they built from stolen timber. They are living in a structure of their own design, and the termites have always been there, quietly chewing, waiting for the season when the wood would be soft enough to collapse. The season is now. The collapse has begun. The only question remaining is whether they will be inside when the roof falls, or whether they will run into the street where everyone can see them, without their walls, without their masks, without the carefully constructed persona that was never anything more than a costume over an empty stage. You are safe. That is what I need you to feel in your marrow. You are not in the blast radius because you were never part of the explosion. You were the one who walked away from the bomb, who recognized the wiring, who refused to be the detonator or the debris. You have been building something else, something solid, something true, in a location so far from their chaos that the sound of their collapse reaches you only as a distant rumble, like thunder from a storm that is passing over someone else's house. Your name is being spoken in the rooms where their name is being erased. Your integrity is being used as the standard by which their failure is measured. Your peace is the contrast that makes their turmoil visible. You did not ask for this role. You did not campaign for it. You simply lived your truth so consistently that it became the only reference point in a landscape of lies. And now everyone is using you as their compass. But do not let their fear become your focus. Do not spend your precious hours imagining their suffering, crafting scenarios of their humiliation, rehearsing the apologies you will never receive. That is a trap disguised as a trophy. If you feed on their downfall, you will develop a taste for destruction, and that taste will turn on you when the feast is over. Instead, let their karma be background noise. Let it be the sound of a distant train while you are sleeping in a warm bed. Let it be the rain on a window you are not standing outside of. Let it be the closing credits of a movie you stopped watching because you already knew the ending. Your job is not to witness their punishment. Your job is to enjoy your freedom, to stretch your legs in the space they used to occupy in your mind, to fill the silence they left with music that does not remind you of them, to look in the mirror and see someone who is no longer carrying the weight of a secret that was never theirs to keep. The truth they feared is out now. It is walking around in daylight, introducing itself to people, shaking hands, making itself at home in conversations where it was never welcome before. It is wearing your face and speaking with your voice even though you have said nothing. That is the power of authentic presence. When you stop performing and start being, the truth radiates from you like heat from a stone that has been sitting in the sun. People feel it. They gravitate toward it. They use it to warm their own hands, to light their own paths, to see clearly in rooms that have been dark for too long. You have become a lighthouse without trying, simply by refusing to participate in the fog. And they are the ship that ignored the lighthouse, that sailed toward the rocks with arrogant confidence, that is now breaking apart while the lighthouse stands still, doing nothing but shining, which is all a lighthouse has ever needed to do. So let them be afraid. Let them feel the karma in their bones, in their sleep, in the mirror that no longer lies back to them. Let them watch their world shrink as the truth expands. Let them count their allies and find the numbers dwindling. Let them realize that the empire they built was made of borrowed credibility, and the creditors have all come calling at once. Let them learn the lesson that you learned long ago, that integrity is the only currency that never devalues, that truth is the only foundation that never cracks, that the long game always belongs to the ones who refuse to cheat. You are winning by not playing their game. You are victorious by simply continuing to exist in your truth while their lies dissolve around them like sugar in rain. And when it is over, when the dust has settled and their name has become a cautionary tale whispered in the spaces where they once commanded respect, you will still be here. You will still be standing. You will still be whole. Not because you were spared, but because you were never broken in the way they needed you to be. The truth did not destroy them. It simply revealed what was already destroyed. It held up a mirror to a house that was already on fire and said, "Look, the flames have always been there, and everyone is looking now. Everyone finally sees. Everyone knows what you knew all along, and the knowing does not require your validation or your explanation. It simply is. It simply was. It simply always will be, carved into the record of a universe that keeps perfect books and never misses a payment." Sleep well tonight, Virgo. The scales have balanced themselves. The debt has been paid by the one who incurred it. The shadow has been dragged into the light, and the light is not cruel. It is simply honest. And honesty, in the end, is the only thing that ever set anyone free, even when it feels like a prison sentence to the one who spent a lifetime running from it. Let them run. Let them tire themselves out against the walls of a cage they built with their own hands. You are already outside. You have always been outside. The door was never locked for you, only for them. Walk away. Don't look back. The view ahead has never been clearer.